about change. What do we do when things change? Some people are better at adapting to change than others, and what do we do when the unexpected hits us? And we're going to be talking a lot about that today because today's Bible story is about someone whose life just changed really quick. And so but to begin, let's see, what do I usually do first here? Okay, I do a song. Well, sing along with me. You guys know this one really well. Here we go. Up over my head, I hear music in the air. Up over my head, I hear music in the air. Up over my head. Yes, I really do believe there's a God somewhere. Up over my head, I hear praise in the air. Up over my head, I hear praise in the air. Up over my head, I hear praise in the air. And I really do believe, yes, I really do believe there's a God somewhere. Up over my head, I feel Jesus in the air. Up over my head, I feel Jesus in the air. Up over my head, I feel Jesus in the air. And I really do believe, yes, I really do believe there's a God somewhere. Oh man, all right. Announcements, things like that. Like I said, I want to get into the habit of letting you know plenty of time in advance what the topic for next week is, so you can think about it, ruminate on it, and when I ask you questions, sometimes you can actually, come up with answers and questions and opinions and things like that. So again, it's all part of a movement to give you a little sermon, but also listen to some of your ideas on this, because I really want to delve into that more. All right, anything else I need to announce, tell you about? Well, time coming up later for prayers in our community. We have a number of those in our midst. But announcements, things I got to let you know about.
It's all together now.
So now we do prayers and all that?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. All right. A number of prayers I'd like to lift up this morning. I'd like us to keep our own Jane Reinke in our prayers, she had all great plans to come on down and join us in conversation, and then just started feeling not so good, but wanted to. We tried to do the old connection with the tablet thing, only she has all Apple stuff and we have all PC stuff, and they're not playing nice together. So, Jane, if you're watching, we love you, and we'll catch up with you soon. So, let's keep our own Randy Neck in our prayers as he continues to recover from quadruple bypass surgery. Keeping in our prayers right here, now we've been praying for Aaron Tadwalt for a while, and he's doing great. So now we're going to put Jackie in our prayers, because Jackie, it seems like, I keep telling the Tadwalt family, the day every one of you is healthy, I'm going to have a parade down Broadway. But Jackie, how are things going? How are you? What is the latest here?
It wasn't going fine till yesterday.
Okay, well, fair enough. We'll keep you in our prayers, and all right. Other prayers we need to lift up.
Nick from the Wing Dam.
Yeah, there was a wonderful fundraiser yesterday for Nick, who both works at the Wing Dam and at the school. Obviously, his apartment was part of that fire that we prayed about last week. It was a fundraiser yesterday. He lost all of his possessions in that, and so let's keep Nick and all of those who really suffered from that horrible fire right here in town. Thanks. Other prayers we want to lift up. We were lifting up prayers for Patty this week, who had a horrible stomach bug or something came through. But Patty, are you healthy again?
Well, I'm getting there.
All right.
I'm about 75% better.
So I'll take 75%. That's all right. All right. Well, excellent. Another really neat prayer answered I want to talk to you about. Patty is, and I don't know what the correct term is, but this is really cool. Patty is a surrogate grandma. In other words, her daughter decided to help someone who could not have children. And so they took an egg from a woman, his sperm, and put it inside of her, and just 4 o'clock yesterday morning, mom, baby, everyone's healthy, happy, birth came out great, and what a wonderful thing to do. So prayers of thanksgiving that everything went well with Shannon.
We are very proud of her, and the baby's name is Ingrid. Ingmar.
Ingmar.
And he's going to Germany after they get papers back. That's where the father's from Germany. And he's a single guy. And after all the paperwork and that stuff was done, the baby and the father are going back to Germany to his family.
Live happy ever after.
Yep. Sit down.
Awesome. Good. All right, any other prayers that I may have forgotten that we need to bring up today? Coolness, all right. Let's, I do. How come every time, Jackie, how come every time I want to do a children's service with your kids, they're in the bathroom? Just kidding, we'll wait. We're flexible. When they come back, I'll tell you what, let's sing a song together then. All Things Bright and Beautiful is a beautiful tune, old favorite, and with great feeling and 4-part harmony, or something like that. Let's sing together, shall we? All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, God made their glowing colors, He made their tiny wings. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. The purple-headed mountain, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. The cold wind in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, God made them every one. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and strong, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. Nice going, gang. I heard you great that time. Really neat. All right, we are going back to our time with the kids. So, any of the young ones want to come forward? I have something I want to share with you. Very important. Oh, good morning. Have a seat. I'm telling you here, this is going to be fun. I need your help this morning. You have, come on up, hi there. How you doing? Come on. Let's go. Good to see you. How are you? All right. I'm so glad you're here. I need your help this morning because some of you guys knew my little stuffed animals that I share, but
They were fighting.
they were really fighting last time. Oh my goodness! But this is going to be even trickier because today there's a new one, and that's important because sometimes when you're the new person in the group, it can be a little nervous. It's a little nervous making new friends, and sometimes when things change, when you move to a new area or something like that, it's nerve-wracking. So what I'm going to show you.
We can give one to Skylar.
You can give one to Skylar if you think Skylar will treat the new one well. Because we have a new one in the group. And it's a little nervous when things change. And sometimes we have to work with it. So stay right there. We have some of our favorites in a brand new one. Now that's the thing. So you've met the monkey. I need someone to hold this.
You got a monkey.
You got monkey? All right, you know the elephant. We've worked with the elephant. And we do know the lamb, because we've seen the lamb before. But I know you've have a brand new one. It's a praying bear. But it's new and it's nervous. And the other ones don't know how to deal with them because he's new. And so sometimes we have to change. We have to make new friends, meet new people. And so, who do you think can hold on to the new one and also make the new one? Do you think Skylar can hold? Do you think Skylar can make this one? Hi! Oh, we were almost there. Got off of that.
You gotta love a little girl in an AC/DC shirt.
All right. Hi there.
I can.
Hi, Skylar. How you doing? This one is brand new. Would you like to see it? Hold on very tight. And be very kind because he needs new friends. Very nice. Oh, excellent work. So today is all about dealing with changes, new people, new things, and so, oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. So remember, each and every one of these needs a loving, caring person to take care of them, and even new people. And that's important because people, there are times when you meet new friends in school or on the playground, and being nice to new people is really, really helpful. So, are you going to be able to be really nice to that monkey the whole service? Good. Okay, I like that. Very good. And as for you, you going to give that lamb a good home for the whole service? All right, sounds like a plan. Let's try it. Skylar's kind of going back and forth with that over there. All right. Let's have a quick prayer. Oh God, help us when things change to not only adapt, but to welcome new folks in our midst because we're supposed to be loving and caring, even when we're nervous. Amen. Thank you so much, gang. So what's it? Okay, forgiving past mistakes. We've talked about this often. It is important to remember that God forgives us when we make errors, when we treat people badly even. And it's we, in turn, reach out in forgiveness to others. And so, I'd like to start off with, there's a wonderful quote. What is this? Anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forces you to grow beyond what you are. I rather like that. Let us pray. Oh God, we come to you this morning and we thank you for a beautiful day, but we ask you to help us when we make mistakes, when we're mean to other people, when we aren't our best selves. Help us to really reach out in your love, and help us to get better when we falter, when we don't do so good. Dear God, we thank you that you've forgiven us. Help us to forgive others. Let us continue our prayers in silence. The wonderful Bible verse, I like this. Hear the good news. As he said in Isaiah, I will wipe away your sins forever because of who I am, and so I will forget the wrongs you have done. Truly, let us live this week not only knowing that we are forgiven when things go bad, but to reach out to forgiveness for others. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of those bad feelings have disappeared. This is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Amen. All right, let's continue our prayers with the prayer that Jesus taught to us. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Beautiful song, more of a secular tune, but a song about changes, and I think the fear of changes, and I want to talk about that a lot today. love took it down. And I climbed the mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes bolder, children get older, and I'm getting older too. I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. Time makes bolder, children get older, and I'm getting older too. So take this love, take it down. If you climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, then the landslide will bring you down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring you down. Well, the landslide will bring you down.
Here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right. Now I've got a conversation. I've got a Bible lesson for you. A couple of thoughts to begin, and then I got a couple questions for you. So again, today's service all about changes, things that are changing, and how well or how poorly we adapt to changes. I called someone this week who will remain nameless. And I said, today's topic for Sunday, and I'd like you to come and chat with us about this, is going to be changes. And this person literally said, oh, can I bring my husband? He's horrible about that. So I am also, will fully admit that I'm pretty bad when things change. So let me share with you a scripture verse that talks about big, sudden changes. And I want you to listen, because it is the call story of Peter, meaning it was the moment that Jesus calls Peter to be his disciple. But I want you to think about when this happens, how quickly things change in Peter's life. I want you to sort of see this through Peter's eyes. It goes like this. Jesus was standing at the shore of Lake Gennesaret, teaching the people as they crowded around him to hear God's message. And near the shore, he saw two boats left there by some fishermen who had gone out to wash their nets. And Jesus got into the boat that belonged to Simon and asked him to row a little ways out from the shore. And then Jesus sat down in the boat to teach the crowd. And when Jesus had finished speaking, he told Simon, row the boat out into the deep water and let your nets down to catch some fish. Master, Simon answered, we have worked hard all night long and have not caught a thing. But if you tell me to, I will let down the nets. And they did, and right away they caught so many fish that the nets began ripping apart. And then they signaled for their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And the men came, and together they filled the 2 boats up so full that they began to sink. And when Simon Peter saw this happen, he knelt down in front of Jesus and said, "Lord, don't come near me, I'm a sinner." And Peter and everyone with him were completely surprised at all the fish they had caught. And his partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were surprised as well. And Jesus told Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you will be bringing in people instead of fish." And so the men pulled their boats up to the shore, and then they left everything and went with Jesus. So often we tell that story, and we don't think of what it was like for Peter at that moment. Peter had been a fisherman. He had gotten up that morning, another average day, and he went fish actually that night. Over the night he went fishing. It wasn't a good night, didn't catch much. And the next day he is putting stuff away, getting ready to go home, and Jesus comes up to him. And you know, remember the rest of the story from the scripture lesson? He rows the boat out a little bit, and the people are standing up on, there's a beautiful picture actually of this area, and where the lake kind of comes up to the shore, and then the land goes up. Not super steep, but still at a fairly steep angle. You can see how it's really possible for people to stand along there, or sit along there, and if you were in a boat, you could easily talk to everyone. You'd be sitting in the boat, people would be standing around. It's sort of like one of those stadiums, sort of naturally built into the side of the lake. And so Peter accomplishes that, and then Jesus says, why don't we go out, row further, and lay down the nets? And Peter's like, I don't know, we've worked hard all night, we haven't caught a thing. Now all you fishermen know that point where you're out there, and basically you realize not a whole lot's going to happen that day, it's probably time to go home. But they do, and they throw out the nets, and they catch so many fish they can't believe it. As a matter of fact, their nets start to break, and they bring them in. Now, Peter at this moment realizes he's in the presence of someone truly holy. And he turns to Jesus, and basically in a very religious way says, "Oh, don't come near me, I'm a sinner." What he really means is, I'm not like you, Jesus. I'm not religious. I'm not a holy person. You may not want to be with me. But Jesus says the opposite. He says, "You're the exact sort of person I want. And I know all of your life you have been getting up in the evening and going out and fishing for fish. But come with me, and your life will be different, and I'll have you fish for people." And actually, quite surprisingly, him and his brothers, they all do. Well, his brother and 2 cousins there, but they get together, and they simply leave. As a matter of fact, according to one account of the Bible, they leave their nets there and they follow Jesus. Their life completely changes overnight. And so today I'm going to talk to you about what do we do when life changes so quickly. And I'd like to think about this story. What makes Peter able to just drop everything and follow Jesus? And what do we do when huge changes come up? And so to do this, I'm going to have a seat, share my coffee here. As a matter of fact, I'd like to welcome to our panel discussion group. I've got some good friends of mine who have some great thoughts on the issue. And back there, I have the Tadwell family, whom I occasionally ask things back there. And excuse me, before we continue, girls, how are our creatures doing? Are they being loved and cared for, even the new one? No? Okay, well, Jackie's ended up with the new one there. That works out, okay? Excellent. Okay, and Caitlin? How is the lamb doing?
Good.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Good. Behaving? They tend to. Lizzie! Our monkey friend, is he being nice to the others? No, not a bit. Lizzie's monkey's acting up a little, so, okay. I just wanted to check in a little. All right. So, well, good morning. Like I said, I'm surrounded by some wonderful friends with some great opinions, and I would like to ask you about this. Changes. How do we deal with it? Today's Bible story was all about Peter, whose life really did change immediately. I think we take this for granted when we read our Bible stories that, he just felt faith and followed Jesus. But basically up to that moment, he was a fisherman because his dad was a fisherman. So the question I got for you is, when big changes come along, how do we deal with it? And do we deal with it well? I will be the first. I deal with changes very badly. I am a creature of habit. I have been known for weeks on end to have the exact same thing for breakfast, do the exact same thing for lunch and things like that, and routine makes me feel safe. So when you throw things into chaos, I get a little nuts. I will admit that. So if you all, if anyone has problems with change, you are not alone. This is not a thou shalt sort of sermon. This is I have trouble with this one myself. So the question is, when big changes come up in your life, how do you deal with it? Give it some thought. What are a big change comes along for you. How do you cope and deal, Mary Lou? Right here.
I usually just kind of take things as for granted. We change every day,
This is true, yeah.
but the big changes usually are bad things, like losing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's harder. And you have to just kind of hold your breath and say, it'll get better tomorrow, it'll get better tomorrow. But little changes, I don't have that problem with.
All right. Well, so you can deal with little. It's the bit. And I'm kind of curious. Do you deal with it differently if it's good change or bad change?
Yes.
Oh, tell me more, 'cause I got to tell you, even good changes freak me out a little bit.
Oh,
so.
no. If it's a good change, I really like that.
Cool. All right. I asked Patty Harm questions here because Patty's our resident expert in telling it like it is. So I like that. So Patty, when big changes come along, how do you adapt and deal with it?
One day at a time.
It is a one day at a time thing. Okay, fair enough. Do you find, just rating yourself, do you think of yourself as particularly good or bad at dealing with changes compared to others around you?
Depends on the change.
Oh, nice. Okay, tell me more, please. What kind of changes do you adapt to well?
Things that go my way.
I'm sensing a theme here. All right. Nice. All right. Well, again, learning to adapt and stuff. I got Mr. Rusty Harm over here. Rusty, I warned you. Some people didn't get the question early, so but Rusty has been warned. Rusty was warned. Rusty, well, a big change comes down your pike. I'm going to talk a little more specific about what sort of change we do well and badly with. But Rusty, something big comes down and your life is different. Generally, do you deal well with that or poorly with that?
I'd probably have to say poorly. I kind of like things to go on the way they are, always do, but...
Except when it comes to the kitchen of the house.
Well, I'll agree that that's different. Well, or is it different now? Because those living with Rusty know about changes in the house. Rusty has been working on the place for, how long has Rusty been working on your home?
Till hell froze over.
No, hell freezing over is forward, not backward. But it's been a long, yeah. And
He wakes up in the morning and he'll go, "You awake?" "Oh, no." "This is what I think I should do." I go, "Yeah, go ahead. Do whatever you want." Then I roll over, go back to bed. Then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll go, "What did you tell me you were going to do now?" And then he's out there doing it anyways. I go, "Yeah, whatever. Whatever trips your trigger, go ahead."
So, Patty, have you ever woken up after one of these conversations and been like, "Where's that wall?" Or is it never quite that
I
bad?
came home from dialysis one time and the wall was gone between the porch and the kitchen.
Sorry. So, you seem better than I am, Patty, at dealing with big changes like this. Because there's certain places in my house where I'm like a blind person. If you move it, I will completely get upset. There's things in the kitchen that are, like you moved it to the other wall or something like that. But, no, this is where this thing goes.
Rusty used to be that way. I moved his chair one time in the living room, and he was going to go sit down, and he goes, "Where the hell's my chair?" And I moved it over there, and he goes, "Don't touch my stuff."
That's me in the kitchen. That's oh my God, you moved my... All right, fair enough. Hi, Janina. How you doing? I did not warn you about this topic, so I deeply apologize. We thought you were going to be away on vacation, but we're thrilled to have you here today. We really are. But I'm kind of curious. Between the two of you, who do you think is better at dealing with changes? You lived with Dave for how many years now?
Over 25.
All right, so you've got a frame of reference here. Which one do you think is better at dealing with change?
Well, I don't think we'd be of the same opinion, and so I don't want to say.
Fair enough. I'll give you that one. All right.
But what I do want to say is that I often pray for change.
Really? Okay.
Because something is, just like, if only this would change, it would all be perfect.
Oh, okay. Now,
It doesn't happen.
does the change not happen, or does the change happen and then things are still different?
Well, and so that's what I have to do. I have to remember to just pray for it and see what happens. Because I don't think that prayers are always answered in the way you think they're going to be. But they are answered, sort of.
Sort of. Yes. I mean, there's a.
Maybe if it isn't the change that comes, you're dealing with it better.
Yeah, that's another. We have to eventually have a whole service on answered or unanswered prayers, depending on our perspective and how that works. And I really want to delve into that with you down the road. But okay, so I won't ask the question who deals better with change here. But I am curious about. All right, Jackie, Aaron, in the back. I have a question for you two. In your marriage, who deals better with changes? Yep. Oh, okay. So, see, with us, it's me that's grumpy when things change, and she's flexible. But you're the flexible one.
Yep.
All right. I find many marriages have one person that's a little more flexible than the other in terms of those. All right. So, Aaron, if I may ask, and I will get back to you. But what is your secret?
Well, part of it is with my, with my job as a truck driver.
Yeah.
I'm constantly used to dealing with change at work. Because my time schedule is different just about every day. Where I go is different. And then I could be driving up to Minneapolis and my boss could send me to a whole different place when I'm halfway out there. And then I gotta go and turn around and go somewhere else. They don't have the product, so it's like patience. You gotta be patient because otherwise I can get all mad about it. But it's just been. And then when I was in the Air Force, I did a lot of construction projects. And you get like maybe 5-6 bosses and they all want something different on it. So it's kind of hard because you got to decide between all 5 bosses because you got to try to keep them all happy, but then you kind of got to put your input into it.
Yep.
So it's like what I had to do is look at it and try to figure out how I could make it the way they want it, but give them a suggestion how to get them to all agree on it.
Oh, okay. So
I've had some experience dealing with the change.
it seems like your life has forced you to constantly deal with change. So like if you're driving to a place and they change it, could you, like, the time you get back and go home and be with your family, does that often just change radically?
Yep. There's even times like, during the church service, I'll plan on being off tonight, and I get a call from my boss, gas station's running out of gas, I gotta go jump in the truck and go right now. So then it messes up Jackie's schedule because then she's got all the kids, and maybe we're planning on going and doing something, and then now it disappoints the kids because I gotta, tell them, well, sorry, we can't go to the park now because I gotta go to work.
Okay.
Emergency here.
So, interesting. So either by nature, you're just more patient with, or the job has forced you to kind of deal with it on a regular basis, so that every time you turn around, nice, okay, interesting.
Well, then at home, we have lots of different changes going at home.
Fair enough, yeah. One thing.
Things change with their school.
Oh, wow, all right, yeah.
The distant learning. You get a phone call one morning saying, well, the kids got to stay home for the distant learning today. And then you got to go down to the school and get all their stuff and the computers and set all that up. And then, after a while, they'll go back. But then they got different rules to follow. And so it takes a little bit to get used to the changes.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, we don't always think of it when we hear the story of Peter's call, but one thing that always strikes me is just how radically his life changed overnight in terms of what he was doing. I mean, basically, fishing was all he knew. He was fishing because his dad was a fisherman. In fact, this was before, people went off to college and decided what they were going to do with their lives. And so, yeah. All right. Dave, I didn't mean to skip you here, and I won't ask you to compare
Did
your...
you hear me, what I said? I missed it.
I completely... All right, Dave, this is where you get like, Craig, why don't you pay attention to me? Because I said something brilliant and you missed the whole thing. But, so I'm kind of curious though. I mean, now your wife is not saying who's better at changes and things moving. So I'll just ask you more directly. What do you do when things change radically? Does that make you uncomfortable, or are you just good with that?
No, if it isn't anything that's really changes your life too much, you kind of just go over the flow, that's okay, I'll do that. But if it's something that you really totally disagree with, or something that you don't want to change, you just want things to stay the way they are, you don't want to have to deal with the change. But I know that I was from working years ago to retiring was a big change in your life, whereas when I was working, I had to work weekends, and stuff like that, so I got out of a lot of the family stuff. I missed a lot of it. And maybe sometimes I didn't want to go, I never said that. So when you retire, you don't have a choice then, because when you have a family event, it doesn't I don't want to go, but sometimes, I don't want to go. But you don't have a choice, you have to deal with the family, and stuff like that. But I have a schedule. When I retired, I got to do this at a certain time. I got to do this at a certain time. I got to go to bed at a certain time. About a half hour before I go to bed, I'll say, "Well, I got a half hour left. I'm going to bed."
Mm-hmm.
And when you go away or do something, a lot of times, like go on vacation, you're going by if you stay at somebody's house, their lifestyle is altogether different than yours.
Yep.
So you have to change to adapt to their lifestyle. When they eat and all this, so it's a change. Like if you eat at 6 o'clock, well, they maybe only eat, or they don't think about eating until 8 o'clock. Well, that's a big change in your habits and stuff, and as far as your everything, where you have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big change. It seems like it's a big change to us. That we have to adapt to.
Now, when these moments come up, I'm kind of curious. Do you find your wife refused to answer the question, but I could always ask it in reverse. Do you find she's more patient with these changes than you are, or are you guys about the same?
About the same, I say.
Fair enough. Yeah.
She doesn't seem to. Well, sometimes she disagrees, but most of the time we work things out where we go halfway or something as far as changing. Meet each other halfway, and so one gets its way, not totally the other person gets its way. We deal with it.
That's awesome. Question for you. Why do you think, and this for everyone, why do you think some people, and I'm one of them, so some people, but in general, why are people afraid of changes? Why are people uncomfortable around change? We all talked about different moments where we had to deal with change and there was some uncomfortable. Why do you think we are inherently uncomfortable with change?
Because if things stay the way they are, you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
If things change, then you got this question, well, what's going to happen? Where do I got to go? What do I got to do? I don't think I'm ready for this.
Yep.
It's all the questions. Well, if it doesn't change, well, then you just live at the moment and you know what's going to happen.
And sometimes you don't realize that if it's a drastic change, you're kind of leery as to whether this is going to be better or it isn't going to be better.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes it is for the better, and sometimes it isn't. You want to go back to the way it was because you're more comfortable that way.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, not knowing exactly what's going to happen, the questions, and I think for me, and I agree with you, we think a lot alike, I got to tell you, Dave. The big fear is this going to be worse? Because if you change things around, you only got two possibilities, and one of them you really, really don't like. Yeah. What is, let's see. Is there any way, if let's say a particular change really makes you afraid and worried? Any way you particularly, anything you do that helps deal with it? Some people are just like, oh, I just take one day. But is there anything in particular you do to help with that? In other words, something that helps when a change is difficult, or do you just plow through it?
Sit in my tub and think about it.
Patty's mentioned the tub more than once in church. This seems to be a big helpful experience in her life, but there may be something to this. I mean, gravitating towards something that we know will make us feel secure and safer again is often helpful. Cassie, you never, Cassie's behind the camera here, and she has never, Cassie, you are extremely good at adapting to changes. And so I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure everyone here is curious, how do you adapt so well to things changing in your life, especially when your husband is so bad at that?
Well, my brain has a tendency to go a mile a minute, and I go through all the worst case scenarios. And when the worst case scenarios don't happen, I'm happy. But my mind goes, this could happen, that could happen, this could happen, this could happen, and I've thought through them in like a millisecond. And then when the worst doesn't happen, it's gravy.
That sounds exhausting.
My brain is a little hyper.
Okay, just checking there. All right, fair enough.
I find myself talking my husband down.
Oh, tell me more. This seems a very similar dynamic here to our home.
Well, he's taken bologna, cheese, and peanut butter sandwiches to work for 40 years.
If he likes it.
But 40 years?
Oh my God. There's a certain comfort in this. I know what that sandwich tastes like.
They have a microwave. You can take left. There's all kinds of things. I never ate the same thing every day for lunch when I was out. And he doesn't do well with change. Like, this last one was good. He always buys Hanes socks. And the new socks he got are made that he likes them better.
Okay. Did you hold your breath when you bought new socks? I'm kind of curious here.
Well, I keep buying the same brand because if they don't have the same brand anymore, then he has a fit about that too. Mm-hmm. Because they don't make it like they used to. Jeans aren't made like they used to be. Mm-hmm. He buys jeans and they wear out faster because they can't sell more if they don't wear out. And he gets mad about clothes. He gets mad about all kinds of other stuff that's not. And talking about change, I'm shocked about that. He goes, I like my new socks.
I am just thrilled. Congratulations. You've done a good job with this. You forced him into change and it turned out to be a good thing.
Well, no, I didn't force him into it, but because that's what's, yeah. I said, you always get Hanes or whatever. And he goes, yeah, but they're making them different. And he said he doesn't feel the seam
all right.
on the top, and which is an annoying thing to a lot of people, is that seam. But then again, like I said, if you would let him, he would keep the same clothes that he had in high school.
Would he still fit him?
God, no.
I was just kind of curious on that. I don't know who would fit in the same clothes as high school. I certainly wouldn't. Aaron, do you fit in the same clothes you have since high school?
Pretty much.
Really? Congrats. That's all right.
Well, it's like the shirt I got right here.
Yep.
This shirt, I wore it for every single one of our child's, the day they were born. She has a picture of me with it.
That is awesome.
Except for Skylar. She was the only one. But the shirt I'm wearing right now, it's in every single picture at the hospital. But it was a shirt that I had since high school.
I am going to defend all the people who have the same thing for lunch every day for 40 years. I am going to defend the people. I'm only to be. Not that I have, but Sometimes when life's changes scare you, something simple that is consistent can make you feel a little safer. Now, Peter in the story, they didn't delve into whether he was scared at all these changes, but we know for a fact that he often had trouble understanding Jesus. In other words, he jumps into following Jesus around, but in many stories later in the Bible, he has trouble understanding what he's doing. And Jesus has to either repeat himself or re-explain something. And there's a number of moments where Peter seems to have trouble becoming, well, for lack of a better term, a good disciple. Trouble becoming, to understand the things that Jesus is trying to tell him. And there's really a fascinating evolution in Peter, going from quick disciple, changing from fisherman to disciple, to not getting several things that Jesus was talking about, to becoming a very strong apostle, so to speak, after Jesus' death and resurrection. Some really neat stuff there. But sometimes when our world is changing, a little thing that stays consistent makes us feel a little safer. So I never asked you, Rusty. Rusty, you do change a lot of things around you in terms of building and stuff like that. But is there anything in your life that you keep consistent just to kind of anchor you a little bit? I'm kind of curious. I don't know. Things change a lot in your world, which is why I'm asking you in particular. What?
Look at me. I don't know. I can't think of any one particular thing, but I have to agree that, anything that stays the same is kind of comforting or makes you feel more safe. Changes sometimes scare you. You don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
As far as any one thing, I don't know, I can't really name anything, I guess. Well, if they took the hunting channel or the sports channel off TV, we would be in a different world.
Well, thank you. That is actually very helpful. In other words, despite a world full of changes, and I got to tell you, Rusty, every time I've come to your house and I've looked at your TV set, there's some animal meeting its end one way or another.
Greg, do you think we find comfort hearing the different Bible stories at the same times in the year? Do you think that's a comfort that people find?
There's that, but in churches, even more so, it's songs.
Okay.
Songs are, there are certain songs, even more than certain Bible verses. There are certain songs that bring people in their minds back. And if you don't, I remember this because as a minister in churches, there are certain songs, certain times of the year that if you do not play them, it is God in heaven help you. But part of that is in a world of changes, in a world where things are zipping back and forth, certain songs anchor you down. And that actually extends even to secular music. I've been to people's houses where they'll have music on that clearly was written 50 years ago. And I joke with them, like, they've written a lot of music since then. And nope, that's what they like. And so I find much more than scripture lessons, music. And there are certain songs in church. And I've had minister friends have very large troubles in churches because they wanted to bring in new hymns. And the old hymns were no, and so people like the old songs that way. So that's my biggest answer to you. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Are there certain music things that you keep the same because they're comforting?
There's only one kind of music. No, there's two kinds.
There's two kinds. If it's Rusty you're talking about, but no, please. There's the stuff that Hank Williams wrote and sang, and there's all that other crud.
And that will never change. That will never change.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Awesome.
You got the actual real country music, and then you got garbage.
What they call country music today, that's not country.
That's garbage.
That's just noise.
Yeah.
That's pop music with an accent.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, pretty good.
people actually, and people take a great deal of comfort in songs. And I know this because the songs that they play in like large venue stores and stuff, they change based on the people they want to make feel comfortable. I know this because there was a time when no one played 80s music. Basic 80s pop music. So you remember that, don't you, Aaron? Yeah. 80s pop music. Now you cannot walk into a store without them playing it. And you know why that is?
Because of the age group that listen to it.
More than listen to it, it's the age group they want to attract. When I was a teenager, we were all broke and no one cared about us. Now, we're the ones with kids and money and stuff like that, and they want us to feel. I know this because I now, working at Menards, I remember when that song came out. I remember when that song, and there's a lot to music that brings us back to a former time and things like that, and makes us feel kind of comfortable because that song has always been there. There's actually a lot of thought that goes into what music plays on loudspeakers when you're at a store. And some people think you don't notice it, but the brain really calculates that. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but right now I'm jamming all day at Menards because they are focusing their music on my generation. We're the golden children right now as far as. Sorry, Rusty, they have given up Hank Williams at Menards. There was a day when I'm sure they blasted it over, but they've moved on now. All right.
They still play that Woodman.
I haven't shopped at Woodman's in a while. I'm not too familiar with their music
They don't
selection.
have it at Woodman's next try.
I heard it though.
Yeah, I may question you on that one there, Aaron.
I was just there the other day.
They play a little bit.
All right, well, it's about that time. Any last wonderful thoughts on changes? Like I said, Peter is going through major changes in the Bible story, and the only way he can get through it is a certain faith that he has that I can admire from a distance, where he just gives up everything and follows Jesus. And for the next few years, he's going to have to adjust to that, and you see some difficult moments. Anything that we want to end with our conversation here about change and dealing with change, and apparently dealing with music at the store, however that came into play here. If that's the case, let's go on to what's next, and then we'll go to final thoughts here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someday, Caitlin, you will be at the store, and the music will be all this stuff that's coming out in your generation. They'll be all, but not yet. Not yet. You don't have money yet, so.
With a banana on your head.
I can't remember a seriousness of it. Oh, fine, be that way. All right.
Anybody get my graphic?
Oh yeah. Free points to anybody who can understand the graphic. It's a reference to a movie. I didn't get it either.
Okay, I'm alone.
Who remembers the movie The Fly?
Never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Cassie, okay.
I'm it.
We're trying next
My
time.
husband would have been with you.
He would have.
Honestly, I thought it maybe it would click.
Yep.
Okay, the premise of the movie was basically, yeah.
He was trying to invent teleportation between the two pods, and things went awry when.
So he's in the pod and the fly gets in there and he slowly changes into a fly.
Yes.
So, Cassie, it was a nice try,
I know.
but it was, yeah, I missed the reference too. So
We
we'll
gotta get back to Hank Williams and Rusty would play.
All right, final thoughts for today. Again, change is a part of our lives. And we deal with it all the time. We see it in the Bible over and over again. I just picked Peter's calling because it was a neat one. But there are other people whom God calls, changes their life. And we roll with it because God's got a plan for us that we often don't have for ourselves. So, and when changes come and you're uncomfortable, trust me, I'm there with you. But God often leads us in a direction we never imagined ourselves going in. And the change in there is inevitable. All right, as we go, let's sing out big and proud. Feel free to stay afterwards and chat. I don't have to work today, so good to catch up with you. Oh, sorry, I'm waiting for the computer to catch us. Feel free to stand and join with me if you wish. Try some loud, full bar harmony feel. As we go, may your spirit go before us. As we go, may we follow where you lead. May we live what we have learned, share the message we have heard, and be a light unto the world as we go. One more time, here we go. Finish here. As we go, may your spirit go before us. As we go, may we follow where you lead. May we live what we have learned, share the message we have heard, and be a light unto the world as we go. And be a light unto the world as we go. Amen. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you to our all panelists. You had great today. Tattlewell